sister, and today we're reading Saturnastra Chalon. This is chapter 12, right?
Mm-hmm.
The conversation was interrupted with Chalon turning to look at them, and Kay said, "We're going to go speak with Holly. Are you coming?" Bromes turned the key and she opened the door for Chalon and Kay, and she said to the pair, "I'm going to be nearby. Yell if you need something." Chalon and Kay entered within, and sitting in a corner was a stout maiden, and she had struggled in the mines for 4 years before giving in, and she had been helping to dig a new tunnel when a gas was found, and the entire place went up in smoke, and about 2 miners got burned to a crisp. And Holly thought they had died, and since they were removed with sheets covering them, and they had been taken away as such, so the other miners would fear their own mortality. And it was a good way to get them to be more careful in the future, and as of now, the 2 men are still recovering. And it was this incident that had prompted Holly to apply for the workhouse. And she was a medium-height woman with a face shaped like that of a dude, and she had a strong chin and a Roman nose, and the only feminine trait found in her face were her eyes and her big, naturally red lips. And her eyes were the color of amber, and on the light of the candle they glistened like 2 golden spheres. And she was currently wearing a nightgown, and she was in the process of combing her long, curly red hair while staring into a mirror. And when she looked up, she thought Kay was Jay, and when the sister dressed like a boy, she was often confused for her brother. Annoyed, Holly said, "How are you alive?" And Kay said nothing in response in order not to betray her identity, because, like, Kay and Jay are twins. So then, like, the twin sisters there to find out why crazy Holly stabbed her brother. "I told you I was not living with you," she said, putting her mirror down to come in the vanity. And Holly leaned back and she rested her face on her wrist, and she added, looking at Chalon, "And you, have you come to aid me in my escape?" Chalon shrugged his shoulders in response, and he was a little bit of a loss for words, and in part because he was starting to feel a little bit stupid, and in the end, Kay decided to take the initiative. And going straight to the point, she said, "Why did you stab my brother?" "Oh," said Holly, taken aback, "I am sorry for the misunderstanding, and I can imagine the state he must have been when he returned to you, but you see, your brother was done in by his own hand." "Chalon, did you know this?" asked Kay, annoyed. And in response, Chalon started to curl one of his strands and whistle, and as he whistled, he became smaller and smaller till he was the size of an ant. And Kay stepped on Chalon, and then she said, "By the gods, look at how much time we wasted. Look, sorry we bother you, and we best be going home." So, like, the brother stabbed. It wasn't that she stabbed. Oh wait, but the grubs you normally have like the white face.
What?
The grub, I sent you the reference for the grubs, bro.
Yeah. What are you talking? Yeah, I know.
But it looks black over there in the drawing.
Oh, I thought that was Master Grimm's hand.
No, that was the grub's face.
Oh yeah. Okay, good.
It's a good thing that you showed me before you finish the drawing. But
I thought that was Master Grimm's hand.
No, that wasn't. That's the white snout of the grubs.
Okay, got it.
No, it's just like, whatever. He took some deep breaths till he was 3D once again, and Kay knocked on the door, but there was no response, and it seemed as if Brown assumed that this conversation would last a little longer, and Chalon wrote, "She's making her way to the spine spot," and Holly asked, "And what did your magic friend write? And if it's magic, why is he mute and cannot whistle cure himself?" Kay said, "Chalon is mute because he's a fool, and as for what he wrote, here you can read it yourself." And she took Chalon's boy and she handed it to Holly, who read the message, and she said to Kay, "And what is the spine spot?" "It is a place that the guards here used to spy on people, I suppose." And Kay added, "And they are pretty common in workhouses, also I heard. Considering the happenings here, I would not be surprised, though that explains how they know," said Holly more to herself. "How do they know what?" inquired Kay. "Nothing to worry your pretty little head about," said Holly, and for what it's worth, I am sorry for your brother, and had I known about his condition, I would have been a little bit more indulgent." "It's all right. Goodbye then, Holly, and good luck," said Kay. "It's Beatrice, by the way," said Holly, getting up and bowing. Kay and Chalon followed suit, and since the door was not opening, Chalon used telekinesis to open the locks, and then they left the door open for Holly, and when she saw them out in the hallway, she rose and closed the door behind her. And she indeed was not too keen in rejoining society, and for good reason. The pair walked out unescorted, and as soon as they were out in the gardens, the bouncer bull asked, "Leaving so soon?" "It was okay, but it was not really our thing," said Kay. Is there anything we can do to improve your experience as Bull? Well, sometimes people just want a good conversation and nothing else, and not everything has to be about the matters of the flesh, said Kay. Why am I not surprised, said the Bull, rolling his eyes. Surprised about what? Asked Kay, feeling an implied insult. Nothing much, and have a good night you do, and be careful when walking, and there are foreigners prowling in the city, said the Bull jokingly. Ha 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 ha, very funny, said Kay with a fake laughter. When outside, Kay asked Chalon, why did you not read Jay's mind to see what had truly happened? Because you can't read the mind of an unconscious fellow, wrote Chalon, and he added, and even then the person has to be thinking of the event you want to find out about. So yeah, you can't read a mind of a person who's not thinking because he's unconscious. You think about it makes perfect sense, right? So you said, and you are able to get a good read on most people, insisted Kay. I forgot, wrote Chalon in big caps. Well, as long as you admit it, said Kay with contempt. The pair started their way back to camp, and luckily the red workhouse was just a couple of blocks away, and they would reach their destination in about 10 minutes. And on the way, Kay asked more to herself, why did brother do what he did? You know how he gets when he wants something, wrote Chalon. The girl's not even that pretty, said Kay, frowning. I don't think it is like that, wrote Chalon. How so? Asked Kay. Think about it. Holly has a means to escape, and yet she chooses to remain in prison, wrote Chalon. I see. I suppose it must be hard for a lady in a convent who doesn't know much about to get by in the world, and at least things are predictable, and when they keep a friendly work environment in the workhouse, thought Holly. I suppose there's no point in thinking about it too much, said Chalon. And by now that we're outside and in camp, the sound was as it was to be expected, and the people were rehearsing and talking normal. And one of the fellows in Chalon and Kay said, did you hear Jay's awake? And did he say anything stupid? Asked Kay. Just the usual. The boy needs to learn some self-control, said the man walking away, and he was dressed in a harlequin's costume. And Kay said, well, we best prepare for the performance. I am at least glad that we did not miss it. I am not certain if my understudy was going to be able to keep up. In order to keep up, one must show a bit of interest in the play, wrote Chalon. Not this again, cheat. I am sorry we did not do your thing, and it just seemed like a bit too expensive to make all of those animal costumes you wanted, said Kay, making excuses. You're no fun, said Chalon, wrote Chalon, pouting. The play Chalon wanted to do was about a cat girl detective, and it was based on a series of children's books his mother had written. And the episode he had chosen focused on the elder sister taking care of the cat girl for the first time. And while playing, the cat girl had fallen down a well, and then a snake guy had saved the little kitty. And the sister had made the cat girl promise not to tell, and the snake boy naturally told her mother what had occurred. And the infantile nature of the play was the main reason why it was rejected.
We need to do a scary cat episode. Like that is clearly a scary cat thing that you haven't made yet.
Yeah, that it was in the back of my head and then I forgot.
Alright, don't forget, we gotta draw that.
Yeah, we gotta draw. Chalon figured that since there were a lot of kids in town, they might as well make a show for them. And the play had 2 other episodes as well. And somewhat disappointed, Chalon left to a dark portion of the nearby forest to pass his lunch. And it took him a couple of minutes, and after he concluded his business, he took a quick bath where he also evacuated. And when he was clean as dust, he left towards his changing room. And he had a big part in the first act, and he was part of the chorus dancing. And he was usually the main male dancer because he was more acrobatic than the average fellow. And the dressing room was made the same for all performers. There were the maidens and the gentlemen putting the final touches on the clothing of their dancers, and Chalon changed into his leotard, and over he was dressed with the costume of a dancer, and they were doing a romance play about the goddess of love, and love was pretty popular theme in society. And market studies showed that they preferred plays that featured 30% dancing, and they were not too big on the singing, and this information was provided by Chalon on arrival. And as they looked through the resources of the romance plays that had performed well in the past, and it was tweaked to have more dancing scenes. Time, bro?
14 minutes.
Chalon's costume was like a matador with tight pants that went over the knees, and the socks were pitch black, and the side of the pants had golden embroidery patterns, and the rest was blue. And the pants went as high as the chest, and over he had a golden vest with an ornamental jacket that followed the same pattern as the pants. And attached to the back of the jacket he had a long cape. and with the top golden and the bottom blue. And Chalon looked at his costume over the top, and it was indeed what was agreed upon. And after meditating a little, he decided to add a large black hat, and he had a ribbon with a sunflower, and the part that provided shading was about 10 feet in diameter. And Chan, who was passing by, said, "Your hat looks ridiculous." And in response to his assertions, Chalon added to his ridiculous hat a large ostrich feather. And Chan chuckled, as well as some of the other male dancers preparing for the show. And it is interesting to know that bullfighting never got started in Saturnastra, and as such the matador costume was seen like any other type of attire. Still, it was more common in the theater world because capes had gotten out of fashion 2 centuries ago. And in response to his defiance, John left to speak with Mahala, and she was the oldest daughter of Harold's brother, and when the two clans had split, Mahala had chosen to stay with her uncle, and she managed all of the performers and was the one to call for any last-minute stipulations. And at the moment, she was helping to close the corsage of Kay's dress. And as for Mahala herself, she was a Rubenesque beauty with a hair color of gold and eyes black as charcoal. And she was in the middle age with hundreds of lines in her forehead, and she always bore a worried look on her brow, even when she was laughing or smiling. So like she was always she had the look of somebody who's eternally worried. Ha ha ha! She's laughing. Ha ha ha! I got so much to do. I'm so scared. I had so much to do. I had so much work. When she saw Sean coming over, she said, "I haven't the time to deal with your petty complaints." "I am raising a legitimate concern," said Sean. "Huh, sure you are," said Kay, drawing in a deep breath. "It's Chalon. Today was a bad day for him, and I think he needs to take a break from the performance to work on his mood," said Sean, feigned concern. "He is fine. If he was not in a proper mood, he would not have bothered to show up for work." "Well, it isn't the first time he has caused an unexpected ruckus, and I just don't want a repeat like last time," said Sean. And he was about to elaborate when he noticed Chalon standing there reclining against the post with his arms folded. Chalon gestured with his right hand in a wavy fashion, and Sean imagined that Chalon wanted him to elaborate. And indeed, that was Chalon's intention, and before each performance, Chalon would put his board away, and he did not want to risk dirtying his outfit. "And this is what I get for showing my concern," said Sean, looking at Chalon. And do try not to cause a problem tonight. Word on the street is that there's going to be someone from the pavilions today, and if we cause a good impression, we might get a commission to perform in the castle, and we must not let this opportunity go to waste." And in response to his assertion, Chalon straightened his left hand with a closed fist, and with the other he placed it over his elbow, and then he struck out his tongue and blew a raspberry. And Kay and Mahala, who knew what the gesture meant, started laughing, and Sean, who was not in on the joke, frowned and left the room to stand behind the closed curtain, and he was waiting for the show to begin. Mahala straightened Chalon's silly hat, and smiling she said, It was the missing touch. Do your best." Chalon nodded in response. Chalon left the tent and made his way backstage, and it was almost time before the play would begin. And the person playing the goddess was a dancer they had picked up not so long ago, and she was a nymph who went by the name of Misty of Albion. And she had recently acquired her freedom and was itching to put her training to good use, and her owner had taught her many different types of dances, including ballet, and the one thing he had not taught her was how to read and write. And it was for this reason that Chalon always made an exception with her, and while he annoyed other people with his writing, he used telepathy to speak with Misty. When he did, he would move his mouth to mimic the word he was saying, still he was not using his true voice. And her tutu dress was golden, and the tutu was decorated with shiny reflective star-shaped glass buttons. And the skirt went as low as her knee, and those shoes were white with golden laces. And her hair was a stunning silver color, and normally the ballerinas would have their hair done up, but for Misty they had allowed her hair to come loose. And this was Chalon's idea, and he thought it would add to the aesthetic of the dance, and it would make Misty look more godlike. And the bulbous nature of the tutu had an interesting effect, and it made Misty appear far skinnier than she actually was. And her face had makeup, and the makeup over her eyes was a dark brown, while her lips were painted purple. And for blush, she had a golden powder on her cheek, and she had been instructed to try to keep her eye colors in bright hues. Cause depending on the nymph's mood, their eye colors change. They have mood rings in their eyes. Yeah. So then they want her to like be doing the dance only thinking happy so that her eyes don't turn like red, don't turn murderous red or something because you'll freak people out. Time, bro?
8 minutes, 30 seconds.
This was easier said than done, and to keep them light, she had to maintain a happy disposition, and she was somewhat a distracted fellow, and this could often cause a shift, making her eyes appear green or even red. And Chalon smiled at her, and she smiled and waved in response, and she said to Chalon, "Pretty soon I'm going to be able to read." "That's good," mouthed Chalon. "And too bad when that happens I won't be able to hear your lovely voice anymore," said Missy. "You put too much value on such trivial things," mouthed Chalon, but he's not really using his voice, just telepathy. "I know," said Missy, and she thought a moment and then added, "Are you going to do what we practiced yesterday, or are you just going to do whatever?" "A little bit of both. I haven't decided yet," mouthed Chalon. "You have to promise to catch me," said Missy, walking closer, pointing with her finger. "If you drop me, I am going to be very cross with you." And John, entering the scene, commented, "If I were you, I would not trust him with my life or my limbs." "I would not trust you either," mouthed Chalon. And John narrowed his eye, and he knew that Chalon had spoken, but his words were only heard by Misty. Still, he pretended to guess what Chalon had said, and he added, "And now 5 shattered, and the guests are arriving." And Misty moved the curtain a little and peered outside, and the makeshift audience hall was slowly getting filled, and the front row was usually vacated because the nobles brought their own chairs, and the stage was set at the foot of the city wall, and this provided a steady payment for the people to sit on, and it also added some more viewing points as well. And over the walls there were people and guards looking over, and as for the musicians, they were set in 4 corners, and in this way they simulated surround sound. And this had been one of Chalon's little ideas that they had bothered to implement, and there were about 12 musicians in each corner, with the same number of instruments, and the only instrument they couldn't put into 4 corners was the grand piano. And it was located at the foot of the stage, and to supplement the absence of the piano, those in the background had 13 players who utilized a glockenspiel. And for those not familiar with the instrument, it looks like a handheld xylophone. And other instruments being used were violins, cellos, clavinets, and oboes. And all of the instrument players were of the clan, and a good number were supplemented from local musicians who did not have anything better to do at the time. And a while back, La Imperia had decided to have her empire be famous for her music, and she was competing with the Dragon Riders of Sibira, and as such she created a music academy. And the music academy at the moment was no longer operational, and with the war, the focus had changed from the arts of peace to the arts of war. And practically every guard in society is familiar with at least one instrument, and every noble household has at least one virtuoso who was being whipped into brilliance. And one of those virtuosos was one who was gradually playing the piano, and he went by the name of Alphonse. And up until recently he lived on the street, hiding away from anyone that might know him. And the guys who were onto his identity and his family name chose not to say anything. And it was a common knowledge that Father Alphonse was a little bit crazy. And at the moment he was living with Ace and Hardwin, and he was the one who damaged Ace's little flower, for which he had recently received a serious talking to. And among his many problems, Alphonse suffered from glass delusion. And he remembered swallowing a piece of glass when he was small, and it was a round piece used for ornamenting the chandeliers, and he never saw it coming out of his system, and in fact it did come out. And it was
that happened to you in real life.
Yeah, I swallowed a glass piece when I was little. And you may wonder why was I eating glass? I wasn't eating it. I just liked the way the texture felt, the glass texture felt inside my mouth. But you know, like little kids do stupid, like little kids do very stupid things from time to time. Felt like an eternal piece of candy, and then I swallowed it. Wasn't on purpose, it just happened. Mother's me like, why do you have it in your mouth? And then I'm like, I have it. And then I swallowed it. Whoops. What do you have in your mouth? I said, whoops. I had nothing. Gulp. Yeah. Time, bro?
4 minutes.
In fact, it did come out. It was just mixing with his other excrement, and ever since then, Alphonse has worried about what would happen if the glass broke inside his body, and from time to time, Alphonse would develop a bit of a bulimia, and he would eat heavy foods to see if he could wash out the glass bubble. And whenever he thought he would not find it, he would become quite disappointed. At all times, he imagined that it had passed into his lungs, and during those spells, he would breathe very carefully and only when he was standing still. And despite all of this, he still managed to develop a decent enough talent for the piano. And at the age of 47, he was the prime at his skills. And he never left a study, and he never run past any of the familiar spots. And from time to time, he would go to temple to see if a priest could heal his conditions, but it never worked. His malady was of the mind, not of the flesh, and so fixation is something that there really is no cure for, and this is at least what his family thought. Tío Chalon fixed him, and using his telepathy powers, he made Alphonse imagine that he had actually managed to spit out the bubble, and now that he was cured, quote-unquote, he sat on the piano chair with a steady stride. In time, bro?
3 minutes.
Alright, let's just leave it here. Bye-bye and God bless. Bro?